Hi guys, it's Arsh. Welcome to tonight's session, and where we're going to be talking about finding deals, property deals all over the UK. Now, tonight's session, we're going to have a bit of crossover from last week's session. As well as that, we're going to be talking about a lot about direct-to-vendor psychology tonight. So we're going to be talking about pain and motivation, how that kind of looks, and more importantly, talking about a couple of deals that we've done this week alone, and talking to you about why they did the deal with me and whether you would do this deal. So if you can, as I start with every session, just give me a quick hello. Let me know that you're in the room. Second of all, let me know that you can hear me nice and loudly and clearly. That'd be phenomenal. So brilliant. Whilst you're also writing, so quick hello to Curso, John, Timor, Michael. This is a live session. If you can just please put in the box, give me a little bit of an indication about who we got online. So who are you? Where are you based? What's your current experience strategy? What's your current experience level? So I can kind of tailor this accordingly. So like I said, there'll be a bit of crossover from last week, but there is going to be a lot of new content in there. So I really hope that you enjoy it. So thank you for trusting me with your time. Lots of things you can be doing on a Sunday evening. I appreciate that. But I'm hoping that by you spending some time here with me this evening, you're going to be learning something new. And as a result, it's also going to help you move forward with your property journey. So by the end of this session, we're going to be looking at how to get started in property with no money and no experience, a big claim, how to make cash flow from simply controlling properties, again, another big claim, and how to work with estate agents and how to negotiate the best deals. But more importantly, also understanding about it's not just a negotiation, it's about the structure, how to structure the deal. So we're going to be looking at that in great detail as well. So now, I know in the property space, there's lots of people that talk the talk, but do they really walk the walk? And the reason why I say that is because how many of them have been on a course last week, perhaps done one good deal, and now as a result perceive themselves to be an expert? There's loads, there's hundreds out there. Now, have they really walked the walk? I don't think so. So what makes me any different? Well, first and foremost, I like to think I'm a bit of a, rare breed because I've done all the things that I'm going to talk to you about. I'm the founder of the Property Investor app, which is the UK's first property investment marketplace mobile application. If you haven't already got it, I suggest that you go and download it. I'm a property investor first and foremost. I've been investing in properties myself for over 22 years. Got quite a vast property portfolio. I'm an author and a feature writer, so I write in two very well-known property publications, and I'm an author of an Amazon bestseller, which I'll talk to you about in a sec. And in lockdown, the first lockdown, I released a podcast which became a top 10 podcast called The Property Rebel. I release new episodes every Tuesday at 6 a.m. So as I said, I'm an Amazon bestseller of a book called Boom Bust and Back Again. Now, this isn't just this isn't just a book telling you about some strategy that I've kind of done. This is almost like a mini autobiography. It's telling you about my span of 22 years. So as the title suggests, boom, bust, and back again. So there was a time in my life where property became very, very sticky for me, where I was on the cusp of bankruptcy, and I managed to pull it back literally by the skin of my teeth. I'm not going to say it was luck, it was sheer hard work, and it took me a long time to get back to where I am. But as a result, I can tell I've got the scars and I can tell the tale. How many other property trainers can actually say that? So the book is called Boom Bust and Back Again. Go and check it out. It's available on Amazon as well as all the other platforms. And I'm a property trainer. I've helped hundreds of people achieve financial freedom. Now, my plans are very simple. I keep my plans very simple. I want to be the biggest and the best out there. So I want the Property Investor app to become the UK's marketplace for property investment deals. I want to create the largest network of property sources in the UK. And I want the Property Investor app to become the equivalent of Rightmove for property investment deals. That is very simple. They're big goals, they're very big goals, they're scary goals. But as a result, every day we move forward towards that goal. So my question to you is, what goals have you got for this year? Write them down in the box. Put it out there, put it out to the universe, and let's share and let's work on them together. Now, tonight's session, as I said, we're going to be looking at deals from a slightly different perspective. I'm going to be giving you two live case studies. We may not have the properties live actually on on the actual screen, but I'm going to be talking to you and I'm going to be telling you about how I've structured them, and as a result, how we've kind of worked and got the deals done. So why is now the perfect time to create a new income? Well, we're all probably feeling it, whether we're feeling it financially, whether we're feeling it in lots of different ways. We can see that mortgage rates have increased. So we can see that energy rates have increased. Whether you're a homeowner and you're living in your own property, you can see that the bills are increasing. Or whether you're a property investor and you've got a HMO, you can see the bills are increasing. And ultimately, that is putting a squeeze either on your personal income or your cash flow. Either way, someone somewhere is feeling it, and it's a really difficult place to be in. As well as that, we're being squeezed on food, taxes, food prices have increased, petrol's increased, wages and tax have stagnated, wages have not increased in line with inflation. So we have to create an additional income stream to assist. Now, for me, if I was going to look for a new income stream, it would have to be one where I can pretty much get started quite quickly, where no experience is required, one which requires not much or very little time, one where you require none or very little capital up front, one that can be done from anywhere and any time, or a business that can generate sums such as £3,000 from a single transaction. Now, there aren't many businesses which is going to allow you to do pretty much all those. So if you're going to go into the property business, when we're talking about actually purchasing properties, that's not going to allow you to do that, because yes, it's going to allow you to generate further income, but you're going to need a lot of income to generate that income. So you're going to need a 25% deposit, you're going to need to pay stamp duty, you're going to need to pay legal costs, and you're going to have to get surveys, you're going to have to get mortgages. So it is a bit of a drawn out process. Whereas what we're going to be talking about tonight, we're going to be talking about deal sourcing, deal trading, deal packaging. Now, depending on who you've spoken to, deal sourcing, deal packaging, deal trading, believe it or not, they're all the same thing. So we're going to try and keep it simple this evening. We're going to call it deal sourcing or deal trading. I see myself as a deal trader. Now, what that is, pretty much, it's a service for homeowners. When I say, if I was going to simplify it even further, I was going to call it almost like we're a glorified estate agent. We're an estate agent without the estate agency badge. That's the best way that I would describe deal sourcing, deal packaging, or deal trading, depending on, again, which one you want to call it. It's a service for homeowners or agents where we match investors to properties which homeowners have failed to sell. It's a service to investors, help investors find properties which they would not have found without your help. And it creates a win-win scenario. Now, tonight's session, we're going to actually add one more element into that. We're going to throw estate agents into the mix. Now, before we do that, I'm just going to quickly have a quick look. Have a quick look at some of the questions. So Michael says he's based from London. John says own and operate estate agents in central Scotland. Okay, interesting. Michael, okay, wants a package 5 and generate 5 deals a month. Add 10 properties to my portfolio, netting £4,000 per month. So we've got some people with some big goals in the group tonight, and that's phenomenal. Andy, Andrew says, hi Andy, I'm from the Wirral. Brilliant, Andy. Let us know what you're all about, Andy. Who are you? What's your background? So tell me, the guys that are on here, be open. This is your time to put it out to the universe. Now, like I said, I'm going to throw the third element in to the equation. Now, just imagine now, I want you to all cast your mind back into a scenario where you've tried to sell your house, or you tried to, let's even say you wanted to let your property, to sell or rent. Now, you as a vendor, you're the person that owns the property. You've probably approached an estate agent like Connells, like Reeds Rains, like any of the, it could be a national agent, it could be an independent agent, it doesn't matter who it was. You've probably made the decision that you want to sell that property. Now, as a result, you've called up an estate agent. They've now come out and said, you know what, tell you what, we're going to come out and value your property. We're going to put it on some platforms with the likes of Rightmove, Zoopla on the market, and generally they're going to charge you a fee when they sell the property. That fee is generally around 1 to 2% of the sale price. So if they marketing it for £100,000 and if they achieve £100,000, they're going to charge you between £1,000 to £2,000 plus VAT for their commission. Now, with the estate agency model, the investor would buy the property off the estate agent and they don't actually pay any commission because the agent charges the seller, but not the buyer. Now, from an estate agency point of view, what happens if the property doesn't sell? Now, we've got to look at this from all kinds of points of view. Now, apologies if I'm bouncing around a bit this evening, but what happens if the property doesn't sell? Let's look at the estate agency financial model. Now, if an estate agent comes out and values your property, they would have spent lots of money on marketing to try and get you to come onto their books. So you probably would have seen adverts on, online. So they do digital advertising. There would have probably been advertising by sending you a letter in the post, letting you know that they've sold other properties in the area. They'll probably put like a little postcard size advert through your post box. They've probably targeted you through Facebook ads. They've probably there's lots of different ways that they've tried to attract your attention by putting up for sale boards within your location. These are all things that they're trying to do to attract your attention. Now, as a result, this all costs money. Now, for the likes of Connells, Reeds Rands, and national estate agents, they've got massive marketing budgets, hundreds of thousands of pounds that they spend on marketing every year. Now, they need to obviously sell enough properties to recoup that level of investment. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to operate. If they're spending hundreds of thousands of pounds and not getting it back, they're going to be in a position where they're very short of cash very quickly. Now, off the back of this, the vendor, if the estate agent does not sell the property, first of all, the vendor is going to be extremely frustrated. And they're now going to probably pick up the phone to the agent, and the agent's going to say, well, I'll tell you what, we've got two things. We can either, start to reduce the price, but the vendor ultimately wants to sell the property. They're possibly going to start looking for another agent. So there may be the option that they're now going to have to do something called a dual agency. Dual agency is where you've now got two agents advertising for the same property with a view of first person that sells it almost like gets a commission or gets the lion's share of the commission. Now, if it goes to dual agency, or if the property now gets passed on to another estate agent, that's quite embarrassing for the initial agent that came out to value it, because they would not have made any commission, and they would have spent a load of money on marketing the property with no sale generated. Now, if the vendor goes elsewhere and they sell it with another agent, it actually looks really bad on the original agent, and the agent loses instruction, but more importantly, from a market share point of view, it looks really bad for the original agent that didn't sell it, because now the local home sellers will be looking to see who's actually active within that location, and off the back of that, they're going to start now to put their business with the other agent that sold, because they've shown that they have active buyers within that location. Does that kind of make sense? Feel free to let me know. Okay, so let's quickly get on. So let me know if I'm speaking. If you think I'm speaking nonsense, feel free to let me know. If you think I'm speaking, some common sense, feel free to let me know. So we've got lots of questions coming in, and I will get through to these. So maybe it's not always about trying to fix something that's broken. Perhaps it's about starting over and creating something better, and about thinking smarter, not harder. Now, the reason why I put this out there is because, believe it or not only do vendors need your help, but estate agents need your help. And the reason why is because the estate agent won't care who buys the property, because remember, their motivation is about getting the property sold. When they get the property sold, they get their commission paid. Up until that point, they're not actually generating that income. So the reason why I'm also mentioning this in quite a formal way as well is because if you go out and start spending money on trying to target vendors directly, you're actually chasing a very limited market. And now I know this sounds absolutely absurd, but if you're chasing one person for one property, I'd rather you put the same energy into speaking to one agent that's got 30 properties. Does that make sense? Have I, again, feel free to agree or disagree with me. If I had a marketing budget of, let's say, for argument's sake, if I was going to say I was going to spend £500 a month on marketing, now £500 a month may get me approximately 100 letters. out to 100 vendors. But now we don't know, is it going to the right person? Is it being picked up by the right person? Are they even actually going to respond? More importantly, if they do pick up the letter, how are they going to respond to it? Are they going to see it in a positive light? Are they going to see it in a negative light? Is the letter just going to actually go in the bin? Is it actually going to be wrapped up right in between, like the pizza, let's say Papa John's and Domino's, and there are other fast food outlets out there, but right in between all those leaflets that you receive, and it's going to end up in the bin? You don't know. So the reality is that you're being very, let's just call it, you're waiting on people to contact you. When will they contact you? Could it be tomorrow? Could it be next week? Could it be next month? Could it be next year? Believe it or not, marketing strategies that we ran 4 or 5 years ago, we're still getting calls on today, but they didn't call us 4 or 5 years ago. We're not actually even targeting that area anymore, but we're still getting calls from it. So these are the things that you have to take into consideration. Now, if I was to put the same energy into going to an estate agent saying, guys, okay, this is who I am, this is what I'm all about, and believe it or not, if we actually work together and as a collaboration, we can sell this stock, and as a result, you know, you make your money from the seller, and we make our money from the buyer. So we've thrown in a different element now. So let's go back to my original point. So the vendor now instructs the estate agent. The estate agent now is advertising the property on Rightmove, Zoopla, on the market as they do normally. Now you come along as a property sourcer. Now you're going to come here with your property investor hat on as well. And you're going to say, well, to be fair, I like that property. I understand that property. I can actually add value to this deal, because you're probably going to see stuff that you're probably going to see. You're probably going to see stuff on that you're going to be able to add value to that, and as a result, an investor will actually like. So when I say that, is you could look at a floor plan and you can say, well, in actual fact, yes, it could be that we could turn it into a HMO, we could turn it into a service department, we could do something with it, and as a result, we can run all the cash flow models so that an investor can look at it and think, yeah, okay, I understand it, I get it, and as a result, it works for everyone all around. Does that kind of make sense? So off the back of that, so you package it up and you now present it in a slightly different format to what the estate agent was doing, and you now sell it to your investors. Now, the way that it works is that you make your money from the buyer, and the estate agent makes their money from the seller. So the estate agent's not lost any commission whatsoever. They'll be making their money from the seller as it would normally. They're now actually not having to do a great deal of work, because you're going out finding the buyer. Now, when the buyer comes forward, you allow the estate agent to do everything that they do normally. And as a result, you know, as far as the vendor is concerned, it's the estate agent that's done all the work. Let them be the hero. Don't worry about you being the hero. You don't need the pat on the back. Let's look at it from your point of view. You've not actually spent any money on the marketing. Does that make sense? So don't worry about being in the spotlight. Don't worry about being the hero. You don't need to be. As long as you sold the deal, you know, the person that's going to think you're the hero is the investor, because you're the one that's introduced it to them. So I'm hoping this makes sense. Now, the reason why I'm saying work with agents, and we're going to come back to the part of motivation and pain in a second, is because, believe it or not, there's 53,000 estate agents in the UK. And on average, there's over 800,000 properties for sale on Rightmove alone. Not to mention Zoopla, not to mention on the market, not to mention all the other platforms. So the opportunity is absolutely endless. And you've got to remember that the estate agents are spending hundreds of thousands of pounds marketing for new properties, which in essence is your deal flow, so that you can actually go off and do all the deals. You don't have to spend money on marketing. You're piggybacking on a marketing machine. And as a result, there's no reason why you should ever be short of deals. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I've been working with a guy called Tom Lloyd for almost like a couple of years now. Every month he sends me deals without fail. Sends me stock, sends me some HMOs, sends me all kinds of stuff that he's not been able to sell. and he would rather now give it to me to try and sell, as opposed to lose the instruction. Now, off the back of that, we sell it, he still makes his money, we make our money, everyone wins. Now, there's one agent, we've got another lady called Joanne, again, sending us stock almost like on a monthly basis. And as a result, it works really well. Now, off the back of that, it's not costing us a penny to do the advertising. We're allowing them to do the advertising. We're allowing them to take all the photos. We're allowing them to create all the floor plans. And off the back of this, we're working smart. We're not working hard. We actually don't even need to visit the property. Does this sound too good to be true? And be honest, you know, if some of you thinks, well, you know what, to be fair, I don't get it. I don't get it, or you know, if you think yes, I get it, or no, I don't. Now's your time to ask a few questions. Whilst I'm just taking a quick breather, ask some questions. Feel free. So again, another agent. So I could list agents pretty much all day, every day, of people approaching us saying, okay, Arsh, we've had this property, it's not sold, you know, we want to give it out to we need to sell it because the agent or the vendor is calling us, asking us about whether we can sell it whether we can sell it or whether they're going to give it to someone else. So a question that's coming from Desi, hopefully I've pronounced that right. Since the property has been listed on the sites like Rightmove, can't you go directly to the estate agent? Well, if you structure it rightly, Desi, then no, because there'll be certain elements that they won't be able to see. So let's keep moving on. Okay, so Andrew says, I've got 4 properties, 1 commercial being sold, going to reinvest the proceeds with open mind as to how, but understand principles of utilizing opportunities. Okay, so Andy, yeah, hopefully this really helps you. Okay, so what happens when the agent gets in a sales inquiry during a period of exclusivity? So Andrew, these are the things these are all parts of that you have to negotiate with the vendor, or not negotiate, but these are all points of things that you have to consider when you're working with the agent. Now, just imagine that Andrew is going to pick up the phone to Connell's tomorrow. And I use Connell's because it's probably one of the well-known national brands. Andrew is going to call up Connell's, let's just say in Birmingham or in London or Swansea, wherever you want it to be. Now, he's going to call them up and he goes, hi, my name's Andrew. I've seen that you got this property, blah, 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 blah. I think I might have an investor for it. And they're going to go, okay, great. Now, Andrew's going to ask the question, well, tell you what, we need you to remove it off Rightmove and Zoopla. Now, you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, Andrew, you know, with all due respect, Andrew's a lovely guy, but why would I take it off a platform, one of the world's largest platforms like Rightmove or Zoopla or on the market, over a conversation that I've had within the last 5 minutes with this guy called Andrew, who I've never met and I don't even know anything about. So if you were the estate agent, Andrew, and you contacted them saying, I think you've got a property, I want you to take it off Rightmove so I can probably put it out to my investors, and you've not even built that rapport, would you actually take it off Rightmove and Zoopla? Ask yourself that question. So ask yourself that question. Anyone that's on this call, ask yourself that question. Because the reality is, they're going to tell you to get lost. They're going to say, because let's face it, it sounds a little bit suspect. So, you know, don't expect them to jump through all your hoops just off an initial phone call, off this cold call. There's got to be some rapport building. There's got to be some stuff that you've got to go through. You've got to have a conversation with. You've got to probably send them a couple of emails. You've got to have a few more calls, but it does work. So, believe it or not, the market will always remain as well. And the reason why I like deal trading, it will always remain there regardless, because like I said, it's the same with estate agents. When the market is increasing, the prices increase. When the market is slowing down, the prices will decrease. And as you've seen with estate agents, right now, you've seen that prices are falling. They're going back to their clients and they're renegotiating or suggesting that they should reduce the price in order to attract more buyers. You're exactly the same. we replicate exactly what they do. It really is as simple as that. And you as a trader, you adjust your prices according to the economic climate. Now, I always put this in there. No two transactions will ever be the same. And hopefully in a couple of minutes, I'm going to be talking to you about 2 deals that we've done this week, where 2 completely different properties, 2 completely different transactions. And so you can't ever have, if anyone says to you that with deal trading, you should have a script, I would literally rip that script up, because 2 deals cannot be identical. You're not going to have 2 vendors with the same circumstances in the same scenario who can both be spoken to in the same way. It's just not possible. So the kind of deals that you're going to be coming across, you're going to be having some that are below market value. You're going to have rent to rent, you're going to have lease option, you're going to have assisted sale. So you can't use your below market value script on a rent to rent opportunity script, because it's irrelevant. The same with planning gains, the same with exchange of delay completions, assisted sales. Now, these are all strategies. Now, if you've got these tools in your toolbox, believe it or not, you should be able to look at every opportunity and as a result saying, okay, it doesn't tick this box, but it does tick this box. And as a result, you're going to be able to create the scenario. Now, I'm going to give you an example shortly on one of the challenges, which is the one that we've done this week. Now, there are lots of formats and platforms out there. So you've got Rightmove, you've got Zoopla, On the Market, Spare Room, OpenRent, Gumtree, eBay, and that's just a few of them. There are so many more. And believe it or not, the opportunity is actually endless. Now, just as you think, oh, okay, I've looked at an area and I've looked at all the properties, I can't see anything. Guess what? The estate agents are going to go out and they're going to bring some more stock in for you next week. And it's going to keep coming in week after week after week. And the ones that you looked at previously that you thought that weren't interested, now their properties are now being reduced. And guess what? You've now got a new opportunity, because you've got more motivation, you've got more motivated sellers. The guys that weren't motivated to want to work with you initially a month or so ago, guess what? Once they start hearing the news, once they start reading the newspapers, they're finding that prices are reducing, they will actually want to start talking to you. And I see this on a daily basis. So a couple of questions that's come in. D says, we don't actually visit the property. Wow, that suits me. Believe it or not, I've not visited a property in such a long time. So a couple of questions are coming in. It says the main challenge is getting investors to sell the properties to. So John, believe it or not, and then Ted also says, how do you find or form relationships with investors? Okay, that, believe it or not, that's actually the easy part, and we'll go through that in a minute. So why I like deal trading as well. So we've already talked about the market, we've already talked about the opportunity, but the benefits of deal trading is that there are no tenants. You don't own the property, you don't rent the property, so you're not dealing with any tenants, which means that when a toilet's broken, it's no longer your responsibility because you don't own it. No bank borrowings because you're not buying it. You're hands-free investing because you're not buying it, you're facilitating the sale. The same like Connells, they don't own anything. None of the estate agents, they don't own anything. They're acting as a middleman or middlewoman. Not tying up any money. Again, you're not buying it. You're not marketing for it. It's already there. You can deal with any property in any town, any city, or believe it or not, any country. Now, we're going to start working with some, believe it or not, some traders in Dubai shortly. And as a result, we're going to show how this can be done in multiple countries across the world. Can be started and stopped when you require. Can be done anywhere around the world. All you need is a mobile phone and a laptop. And it doesn't just have to stop at property. Believe it or not, once you understand the skill of sourcing, you can actually source anything. So again, the people that cause you the most pain in property have got to be solicitors, surveyors, builders, contractors. But as a result of sourcing, as a result of deal trading, you don't have to deal with any of those because you're not buying it, you're not converting it, you're not renting it. And so you don't have to deal with any of those. What I'm trying to say to you, in actual fact, and this is a really big claim, there's no risk. Really big claim, because you don't own anything, so there's nothing that can go wrong. Now think of it from an estate agent's point of view. What I'm trying to do is relate this back to estate agents that you've probably known about for the last 20 or 30 years. When a property does not sell, what do? They come back and say to you, guys, okay, it's not sold, we've not had enough level of interest, can we reduce the price? And that's exactly the same that we do. Okay, the property didn't sell, We've not generated a decent level of interest. You've got two options. You can either sit here at the same price and probably be sat here again for another 2 or 3 months, and we'll have the same conversation in 2 or 3 months, or we can reduce it and we can try and readjust the figures, and as a result that will perhaps make it a little bit more interesting for the investors, and hopefully we sell it. That's exactly the same as estate agents do. It's not a new method. It's not a new concept. And the people that try and overcomplicate it are the people that try and reinvent the wheel. Okay. So again, going back to the point, this allows you to generate full-time income from part-time hours. No experience is required because we're piggybacking on the back of other people. We don't require much time because, believe it or not, all the viewings are done by agents. All the pictures and floor plans are all created by agents. We're piggybacking on theirs. We don't require any upfront capital because we're not requiring any funds for marketing. The agents are doing it all for us. One that can be done anywhere and any time because, again, they've done all the hard work for us. And if we sell the property, we make large sums from anywhere from £3,000 plus per deal. Now, on your screen right now, excuse me, I've put a list of items there. Now, out of these, which one is the deal? Now, it could be one of them, it could be none of them, it could be all of them. Now, you decide what is the deal. So, is it buying something below market value? Is it something that's in need of renovation? Is it something that's in need of or already income producing? Is it something producing good return on investment, ROI, return on investment? Something with good potential capital growth, something that is sustainable, something that can appreciate in capital, something that's got good cash flow, something that's got the opportunity to add value, refurbishment, planning gains, control with little capital, or using someone else's asset in exchange of time. Out of these, which one is a deal? Now, again, no right or wrong answer. Now, an investor, let's just go back here on our call right now. We've got quite a few people. So Zach might only be looking for below market value deals, and that's fine. Believe it or not, D may only be looking for something that's already income generating. And again, that's fine because that's her criteria or that's their criteria. Andrew might only be looking for something that they can add value to in the form of modernization or refurb because they want to flip it. Now, in property, we've got so many different strategies. All depends on how much money someone's got to spend, how much time they've got available to them. And these are all things that once you understand from your investor's point of view, you can go off and then start to try and find properties for them. Now, alternatively, if you wanted me to make your life really easy, you could just list your property on the Property Investor app. And we've got 50,000 people who've already told us what their criteria is. We've got people that only want below market value stock. We've got people that have got limited funds so that they want rent to rent. We've got people that want lease options. We've got people that want land. We've got people that want commercial. We've got people that want stock only in London. We've got people that want stock only in the north or the west or the south or the east. So, when you've got 50,000 people, all of them, any deal that you find, in theory, we should have an investor for it. Does that make sense? Now, right, let's get to this week. Now, this week has been a phenomenal week. In terms of deals, it's been a phenomenal week because for those that watched my YouTube channel this week, you probably saw that I've closed the deal on a property in Blackpool. So 32 apartments. Now, let's talk about the vendor. And she, believe it or not, lovely lady, absolutely lovely lady. Got so much time for this lady. She called, believe it or not, this property actually was on the market, but she contacted us directly. And as a result, you could perhaps call this a bit of luck. But as the owner of the Property Investor app, we get quite a few deals presented to us directly from vendors. Now, she called us and she goes, Arsh, I've got these apartments in Blackpool. So there's 32 apartments broken over a block of 17 and 15. So two different blocks, 17 and 15. So she came to me, she goes, I've got this property. She goes, they make decent money. In Blackpool, in high season, they make decent money. Now, going back to my point here, What would you offer this lady now? So I want all of you now to kick in and start telling me. So I've got ladies, she's got 32 apartments and they're all producing a decent level of income. What would you offer her? How would you approach this deal? Now, in the high season, they make decent money. In the low season, perhaps not so busy, but that is with any pretty much business that runs on a cycle. So Blackpool is obviously in the high season, you've got lots of holiday makers, you've got people that go to the city. In the low season, it's very quiet, almost like a ghost town. So what could you offer this person? So the reason, some of you probably already watched the YouTube video, so if that's the case, please disregard and also tell me what you would think you would have done. Now, the reason I asked you that question is because everyone's got a different level of motivation. Now, this lady, she doesn't necessarily need the money. She's already made very good income off the property. So if I was to offer her a below market value deal, would I be insulting her and her intelligence? Now, if I try and do a rent to rent or something, am I also going to be insulting her by saying, well, in actual fact, yes, you're already producing, let's say, on very round figures here, £100,000 per annum, which is about £8 a month. I'm going to offer you £2 a month. Why would they need to do that? Now, the reason why I'm giving you this as an example is because every vendor that you speak to is going to be completely different. Every person that you speak to is going to have a different reason for sale. So they're going to have their own pain points and their own motivation to do the deal. Now, the key to deal sourcing is understanding what that pain and motivation is, because if you don't get to that point or to that route, you won't ever be able to deal the issue. Does that make sense? Now, off the back of that, also, this week alone, I had a call from an agent who has got a vendor that's got 15 properties in Scotland. And they can't sell them because, believe it or not, the properties out of the 15, 5 of them are in negative equity. And as a result, the cash flow is not that great either. Over the 15 properties, I reckon it's producing around best part of 3,000 a month, which is 36,000 a year. So in that scenario, if there's a property portfolio of 15 properties and it's producing 3,000 a month, and part of them, a third of them, are in negative equity, what would you offer that vendor? Give me some solutions here. I know what I would offer them. So Desi says, perhaps offer them a lease option. But would you want to take on a portfolio of properties that are potentially very close to the cash flow and also part negative equity? So what's the rationale behind that, Desi? What I'm trying to do is get you start thinking outside the box, because all very well all these deal sources around the country just going running around saying lease option. What's the rationale behind it? Why would you do that deal? So John says, depending on the location. It's a very generic answer, John, but let's think about, it's very close to the centre of Scotland or the capital of Scotland. So off the back of that, or the city of Scotland, a large city in Scotland. So you've got all these options available to you. So is it income producing? Yes. Is it the scope for capital growth, depending on the term? So what I've actually gone back to the guy in Scotland, I said to him, guys, okay, I get it, I understand it. Now, off the back of that, we understood what he wanted to do. Why is he coming out the portfolio? He's 65 years old. 65 years old. He's only got a few years left on his mortgage. He's still got quite a lot of debt because he's always kept it on interest for it. He's always kept it on interest-only mortgages. Now, off the back of that, a lot of them are in negative equity, and according to the current market that we're in, not to mention any further decline that we get into. The cash flow is not the greatest. They're all on standard variable rate mortgages. Now, I'm giving you scenarios here. Tell me what you would do. Now, I know what I would do because I put together an option for him. So rent to rent. So Andrew says, can we do rent to rent? So Ken says, offer them a deal for rent out to local authority and businesses. Now, what we did is, in actual fact, looked at the equity level. We understood what they need the equity for. Now, off the back of that, we've structured a deal where they're going to get a certain level of equity, whether it be spread out, whether a part of it is paid up front, the other part of it is paid out over a period of 10 years. So we've structured a 10-year lease option with this portfolio. Now, we also understood that a lot of the rents are also very low. So the reason why the cash flow is extremely low is because the income hasn't actually been increased for the last 5 years. No rents have gone up for the last 5 years. Now, I appreciate that there's some challenges for rent increases in Scotland right now, but that finishes, believe it or not, in April. Now, off the back of that, that's going to allow us to increase the income. So we're now going to start to increase the income. Off the back of that, that's also then going to allow us to generate a sufficient amount of income to actually purchase the properties or even pay down some debt over the period of a 5-year period. So we've structured it on a 10-year basis. We're even going to try and push it out to a 15-year basis, but at the moment, 10 years is where we're at. And off the back of that, we're now going to sell this deal. You'll probably see this deal either come out by the property investor app, or we might actually sell it privately to an investor that we already have in mind. Now, with the block of apartments in Blackpool, I've actually retained these properties for myself. But if the point that I'm trying to make across these two deals that we've done this week alone is that if you are a one-trick pony, you would not have been able to structure any of those deals, because none of those deals were below market value deals. Part of them would have been a full market value deal. Part of it would have been a lease option. Part of it would have been, an assisted sale. Part of it would have been trying to add value so that you can increase the value over a period of time. Now, you've got to have the tools in your toolbox to ensure that you have the ability to do the deal. Now, having a look at other deals that we've done this week in Wakefield, in Middlesbrough, in Maidstone, again, a real meridian. So we've got Blackpool, we've got London, we've got Bishop Auckland. These are all deals that have all been presented on the Property Investor app, and no two deals will ever be the same. No two conversations will ever be the same. No two transactions will ever be the same. You have to look at every property. You have to apply a strategy which works best for the owner and the purchaser. Does that kind of make sense? So whether it be a below market value purchase, whether you try and structure it as a rent to rent or as a lease option or an assisted sale, or whether you can try and add value by going off and get further units out of it, or by a planning gain or an exchange and a delay completion, whatever it may be, you need to understand what all these strategies look like in order to be able to have that conversation. And the best thing with deal trading, because they land on your doorstep first, you get to see the best deals first. So as I spoke about Blackpool, I'm actually keeping that for my own portfolio. So as well as that, other deals that I've done in 2022. So believe it or not, this is the one that I've done at the start of this year, 2023, office block in Wolverhampton. 26 offices within Wolverhampton. I've actually kept this block. I've retained it on, we've agreed a deal where I purchased it at circa around 500,000. I'm now going to increase the rent. We've got it on a 3-year term, on almost like, it's not a rent to rent, it's almost like an exchange and a delayed completion. I've had to put some money up front, but the back end, I'm going to be increasing the value, and I think that I'm going to be able to increase the actual market value of the property to circa 800 to £1 million, based on a rental income projection of around 100,000 per year. And the rent that I'm paying to the owner for the first 3 years is approximately 40,000 a year. But if I'm generating 100,000, you can see that there's a sufficient level of income, not only to pay the outgoings, but then also be able to help me to assist with the purchase of the property as well. So there's lots of uplift in this property. And that's something that I would never got done through an estate agent. I don't mind saying that, because that was quite a niche case. Now, Duncan Street in Manchester, this was a property that came to me, but believe it or not, was in negative equity. So we've had to structure it in a slightly different manner, which makes both commercial sense, not only for the property investor that owns it, the owner, but also for us as well as the investor. So we now agreed a 5-year rent to rent, where we got a 3-month rent-free period where we had to do some conversion works, but because the property was in such bad condition, the owner had to actually pay for the conversion works, which is something which was all part of the negotiation. Now, you would never got a deal like this through an estate agent. So doing direct to vendor deals is definitely still very feasible, but you've got to make sure that you've got a real mix in your pipeline. We converted it into a 10-bed HMO stroke studio style model, which is now being utilised as service accommodation, and it produced approximately £6,000 a month cash flow, and none of my own money used on that deal. I've kept this for my own purpose. Again, another property, and this was on with an estate agent. It was on the market for 180,000. I actually found a way of adding value to this property. So lots of people came and viewed this property. They were offering around 150,000. I offered the full 180,000 because I knew different ways how to add value to this property. I went off and got planning permission in place. So this was all being done whilst I purchased the property, and we got it generating approximately £40,000 per annum. But it's now worth in excess of £600,000. But remember, I bought it for 180,000. I managed to refinance, get all my money out of this deal. Remember, when you're deal sourcing, you get to see all the best deals first. You decide, is this one for my portfolio? Can I keep this one? Should I keep this one? Does it work nicely? Does it generate income? Will it produce an income for you and your portfolio? I've talked about this property lots and lots. So this is a property, this is my second home. You can see there I am in the actual picture there. Here's a property that I've got. This is my second home down in Cornwall. You can actually have a look at our website, which is tincroftcottage.co.uk. So we run this on Airbnb when we're not at the property. So the vendor lives abroad, but we actually structured a 10-year option on the actual property, where we've got a 6-month rent-free period, and now generates approximately £24,000 a year. But our focus with this was always going to be that this was going to be our second home within the UK. So not every deal has to be about cash flow. You can create a lifestyle out of it. And here's another property in Liverpool, so you can see the kind of deals that we're doing all over the UK. Here's a 3-bed penthouse which sleeps 6. A tired landlord offered it us on a 7-year rent-to-rent with the option to purchase. We've got a 1-month rent-free, and within 12 hours going live on Airbnb, it had over 15 bookings at £250 a night. But the rent to the owner we're giving, it's definitely a financially viable transaction. So what are everyone's questions? Okay, so can ordinary people succeed? And I'll come back to a lot of the questions that are going to be coming through. Can ordinary people succeed? So here's a person called Craig Webb. Now, Craig approached me and he came to me and said, Arsh, I need some assistance with finding deals. Now, within a space of a day, he came to the office, we'd done a full day's training, and off the back of that, we managed to get a number of deals done through vendors and agents. Now, one of the questions that always comes through is, how do I source a deal? Now, start off by actually doing it quite quickly. Start off by piggybacking on other people's deals. We've talked about through this whole session, one of the questions that just came in, which I thought was quite interesting, was, Arsh, how am I going to find my first deal? I've just spent the last hour showing you or talking to you about where you should start looking, and it is by working with agents initially, unless you want to go out and start spending money on marketing and finding vendors. Now, there are lots of ways to find vendors. You can go on land registry, you can find a property for sale on the market, and you can actually go to land registry and spend £3 and try and find the owner's details and try and approach the vendor directly. Remember what I said, that you can do that, but you're going to start spending money on marketing. Is that deal going to come through? You don't know. because you don't know what kind of contract they're in, locked in with the estate agent. They might be in a 3 or 6 month term. Now, as a result, can they break that term? Again, you don't know. So why would you chase one person as opposed to speaking to an agent and working with 30 properties? So let's start thinking about working smart, not hard. So as a result, we've got Craig start working with agents, and within a space of 1 month, he managed to find 8 properties within 1 month, which is absolutely absurd. When you speak about this, how can he find 8 properties within 1 month? But it can be done. And all he did, he put some time together, and as a result, he started making phone calls. And that's all it takes. Time to make phone calls. You don't have to go and visit any of these properties. You're literally, and again, this is, remember, estate agents is just one strategy. There are so many different strategies to source properties. Again, you could be working with letting agents. You could be going direct to vendor through platforms like Spare Room, Gumtree, OpenRent, etc. But again, all these people have got one property. I would rather you focus on one agent giving you 10 properties a month. And again, these are all properties, all direct to agents. Does that make sense? So Divine said, so how does someone start being a deal trader with no experience? Okay, Divine, that's an interesting question. Because, okay, and another question that's come through from John, what do you tell the agent when you call them? Okay, I'm going to answer this in the best way that I know possible. So how do you get started? The first thing that you need to do, Divine, you need to understand, you need to try and identify a property that you can find. And let's just keep it simple. Let's find a property on Rightmove. Let's find a property on Zoopla or on the market. And ideally, something that's already income producing. That's going to be the easiest way to get started. The reason why it's going to be the easiest way to get started is because hopefully an investor is going to come to you and says, well, okay, I understand I've got to buy, I understand that you've got this property for sale. I understand how much income it's producing. I understand how much cash flow it's going to be producing. And then off the back of that, you're then going to sell it to your investor. Does that make sense? As opposed to buying a property, as opposed to buying a property that is vacant, an investor is not going to generate any income from the outset. So if you look for properties that are income generating from day one, potentially already a HMO, there's your good starting point. Now you can create all kinds of strategies or all kinds of keyword searches and actually listings on Rightmove so that it emails you when these properties come in. That's the easiest way to get started. So what do you say to an agent when you call them? So John, very simple. You say, hi, Mr. Estate Agent, my name's John. I understand that you've got this property. It's been on the market for a couple of months. The reason why I'm contacting you is because I may have this property investor that may be interested in this property. Now, the reason why I'm calling you is because would you mind me presenting this property to our investors? Now, we make our money from the buyer. You guys make your money from the seller, and it's a win-win scenario. What do you think an estate agent is going to say in that scenario? Have a quick think about it. Now, Michael's asked a question. He says, in order to understand the seller's circumstances behind the sale, how do you ask the agent to give you access to the seller for a conversation? No chance. The estate agent will never ever give you access to the vendor because they're worried about being cut out of the equation. Does that make sense? Why would an estate agent give you, if I was the agent and you call me and said, hi, yeah, I need to speak to the owner, that I'm going to literally hang up on you because I'm worried that you're going to cut me out the equation. Off the back of that, we're going to lose an instruction and you're going to run off into the sunset with my owner and I'm not going to make any money. So you've got to think about this from a psychology point of view. Okay, so let's keep moving on. So here's a few more people. So in November last year, I did a 5-day property challenge, and these are people that came on this training. Off the back of that, these are all the deals that they've done. So Salim and Sunny. So Sunny managed to get 2 deals. Salim found quite a few deals on the day. Now Simon found he learnt a lot, and he actually got a deal over the line. So property in Lee, which was towards Wigan, which was, believe it or not, a hot food. It was a property let out to KFC and flats above. So that was a tough property to sell, but we sold it. We've got Will, who found quite a few below market value deals, believe it or not, through estate agents. We've got Carmina, who managed to find 6 potential deals on the day, and we've got Darren that managed to find 8 deals actually on the day. How to source properties, how to speak to vendors and also agents. Going back to my point, these guys can only succeed if they remove the limit out of their mind that they can't do this. So if you're talking yourself out of it, believe it or not, you're not going to do it. You need to remove the fact that you can no longer be a one-trick pony. So don't just start looking for below market value deals. It will never work. You've got to look at everything and then think, okay, it doesn't work for this strategy, it works for this strategy. And because there are a number of strategies out there, there's no reason why you can't apply a strategy to each and every property. So even if it's something as simple as just the standard buy to let, but it still makes good cash flow, would it work for an investor? Chances are, yes, it would. It could come down to location. It could come down to the ability of it having capital growth. And all the properties that we put out there are a mixture of below market value deals, believe it or not, full market value deals, rent to rent deals, lease option deals. Again, some of these deals are direct to vendor, some of them are direct from agents, and some of them are actually co-sourcing from other sources. Now, we've got lots of other case studies. There's over 200 of the properties that we've sourced by myself and other EPT members. Now, I'm going to quickly just stop here for a sec. If there's any questions, literally write them in here. Now, the reason why I'm taking a little break is because I'm going to tell you a little bit about a program called the Elite Property Tribe, which is a program that I've been running for a few years now, and it teaches you about how to become an all-rounded property investor, where you get to learn every single strategy there is out there. It's a 52 module online training program, and we teach you how to source, how to package, and how to sell all the different types of properties. So whether it be deal trading, rent to rent, lease options, HMO, service accommodation, commercial to residential, plus all the other strategies. And what happens is that you get access to 52 modules of online training. And also we do a fortnightly live deal clinic and problem solving with me. So it's a webinar that we run every fortnight on a Monday. The next one is tomorrow. The actual program starts the first Monday in February, which is the 6th of February, but people can join up now and get themselves ahead. There's also a shadowing day with me in my office all throughout the year. So for those that are on the training, you get to come and spend the day with me in my office throughout the year. We also have daily 10-minute calls to discuss opportunities and support. So if you come across a property and you're not 100% sure how to structure it, you get to book a call and go through it with me. And again, well, I also spend time on negotiating these deals with you. So if you've got a vendor, you've got an agent that you're not 100% sure how to get around, we go through that together with them. We also have 4 live virtual meets throughout the year, and you have access to over 400 hours plus of previous webinars, recordings, and live meets. As a member of being the Elite Property Tribe, you actually get to sell your deals to my investor database of over 100,000 investors that we've got on the Property Investor app. You get access to all my useful contacts and an EPT WhatsApp group, not to mention you get access to all the contracts, templates, and spreadsheets. So one of my spreadsheets, which I call a cash flow calculator, it's so simple that what you do, you put in the purchase price, you put in the rent figure, and believe it or not, it calculates the rest out for you. It calculates rest so that it can say either yes or no, yes, it's a deal, or no, it's not a deal. So have a quick watch as to what this video tells you about, or shows you all the different modules that we've got on the platform. So we go through basic stuff such as sourcing, we go through the compliance process, we understand what is a deal, what is not a deal, we go through the legislation, we go through all the different cash flow strategies, we look at very simple things like the rent to rent calculator. We start looking at rent to rent, lease options, looking at the paperwork surrounding lease options, JV partnerships, service accommodation. These are just some of the strategies. Now, we always start the Elite Property Tribe with what I call a 5-day challenge. Now, the reason why I do that is because I throw everyone into the deep end. So the first the first Monday of February, which is Monday the 6th, we start the Elite Property Tribe program. And to start that with, we start a 5-day property challenge. So on the Monday, the 6th, the Tuesday, the 7th, Wednesday, the 8th, Thursday, the 9th, on every evening, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're going to be running a live webinar. And it's going to be an intensive 4 days of learning all the different strategies. Now, it's what I consider almost like a crash course. The reason why I do that is because I want to try and get you all the knowledge within the first 4 days, believe it or not, so that on Friday the 5th, we have a live event called A Day on the Phones. And the Day on the Phones is exactly that. We start speaking to agents, we start speaking to vendors, and the plan is to try and get your first deal done within the first week, or the first deal done within the first month of you being in the Elite Property Tribe. The plan is to try and get you that point of pushing you out of your comfort zone. So the Day on the Phones is Friday the 10th of February 2023. Now, what that looks like is a day looking for deals, a day speaking to vendors, a day speaking to agents. Now, these are all things that you would not have done previously. A day appraising deals, a day calculating them, a day looking at the hotspots and looking at supply and demand, working in groups with other EPT members. EPT stands for Elite Property Tribe, and it's only available to EPT members. Now, during the year, if you want to come and shadow me in the office, in my office, you'll get to sit opposite me in my office, and I can get to listen to all your phone calls, listen to who you're speaking to, how you're speaking to them, having a look at what terminologies you're using, having a look at how you're appraising deals, and off the back of that, turning you from something that you may have not have previously got over the line into a yes machine. So one of the guys, top right-hand corner, is a guy called Jay Uday. He came to the office. He was an EPT member. He started. And as a result, within the same day, we managed to get 2 HMOs negotiated, packaged, and sold to investors, generating over 10 grand in sourcing fees. That's in that one day alone. And this is the power that you have by working alongside with me. And as a result, I can see what you're doing right, what needs improvement, and turning that and fine-tuning it so that we can get everything turning into a yes. That's the plan. Now, the Elite Property Tribe is a full year program, so it is a mentorship program, which I kind of vow to say that I'll always be by your side. We have the fortnightly deal clinics. I'll be helping you with negotiations and problem solving so that you won't fall into problems. You'll have my personal mobile number, so if there's an issue, you call me, you send me a WhatsApp, or you book a call with me. You've got EPT Learning Journal, and you've got over 400 hours worth of recordings on the platform. And you get quarterly EPT exclusive live meetups. And the next one is obviously Friday the 10th of February in Wolverhampton, where we do the Day on the Calls. So here's the Elite Property Tribe learning journal. So you've got your intention, you've got to put in your intention and goals, you've got your weekly accountability journal. Tell us who you're speaking to, what have you been speaking to them about, how have you got on, who do you need to follow up. So next week you've got a full accountability list of all the people that you need to call. Now, as part of being the EPT, you get access to, like I said, all my contracts, templates and spreadsheets, as well as my team of professionals. So I will have a person that I've had to have dealt with an issue. So whether you need a decent solicitor, whether it be a lease option solicitor, a rent-to-rent contract, a JV partnership contract, we've got them all there. You get your access to all those as part of being an EPT member. I could talk to you for days on end about success in the tribe, but let's get straight to it. So a few people saying, Arsh, what's the cost of it? So the full cost of the EPT is £5,000. It's actually been reduced for 2023. Last year it was 6,000. We've reduced it to 5,000. Now there are 2 ways to get involved. You can either pay in one lump sum, which is 5,000 for the whole program immediately, or you can pay in 12 monthly installments at £450. It works out to be 5,400 off memory. The reason being it's slightly more expensive because we have to deal with 12 credit card transactions. And the first 4 modules will be released immediately, and the others will be drip fed every week. So let's go through a couple of questions. So Temel says, okay, so am I getting your questions? Yes, I am getting your questions. I will go through these in a second. Okay, agent says, okay, so D says, so what's the best way to start by estate agents? But marketing, would it be possible through, if you to get a one, would it be possible through you if I get a one-on-one with you? Okay, so what's the best way to start via estate agents but marketing it? Would it be possible through you if I get one-to-one with you? Okay, Dave, I don't kind of understand the question. So if you can say, agent would say yes and ask for more details of me as a deal sourcer. So, okay, so when you're asking the estate agent for a deal, you've got to kind of present yourself. Who is D? What is D all about? You know, more importantly, what are you bringing to the table? What the estate agent wants to know is who is D? Why does D think he's got, why does he think that D has got, or should I say, why does D think they've got a better chance of selling this property than the agent has by using the powers of Rightmove and Zoopla? So these are the questions that you've got to ask yourself, D. So Divine says, what's the best way to find an investor? Now, I'm going to just give you almost like the generic answer I'm going to say is that if you need to sell your deal to an investor, upload it onto the Property Investor app. Now, if you've already got a deal, sell it via the app, and we work on a split fee basis. It works on a 50-50 split fee basis. That's the easiest way for you to sell the deal. So D, I've just answered that question. So yes, you can use my platform to sell it. We won't, if you're not part of the EPT, we won't go off and start appraising it for you. So Andrew says, what registrations are required? So now, if you're going to be a deal sourcer, you do need to, you know, if you're going to sell your own deals, you will need to become compliant, which means that you're going to have to be registered with the PRS, the Property Redress Scheme. You're going to have to be a member of the ICO, the Information Commissions Officer. You're going to have to be registered with anti-money laundering regulations, so the AMLR, anti-money laundering regulations, and you're going to have to get some insurances in place. The cost of all that is approximately between £800 to £1,000 per year. Alternatively, if you sell them through my platform, you can utilize my insurances. But in order for you to do that, obviously, you've got to be EPT member. So yes, there are benefits of that. Okay, so John says, as an EPT member, can you negotiate with the vendor or agent for me as per the rent to SA where I'm having difficulties? Absolutely, John. So the whole point of being an EPT member is that you have me so that off the back of that, I can pick up the phone with you and have a three-way call with the owner, with the vendor, and understand what their pain is, go through the negotiation, you learn from the conversations, we have it, and try and get the sealed deal, get the deal sealed and moving on, whether you decide to keep that property or whether you decide to sell that property onto another investor, then it's your call, completely your call. Okay, so Temel says, does rent-to-rent strategy work better with an option to buy in 5 years later at an agreed price? Now, Temel, okay, I would always say that if you're doing rent-to-rent, always, whenever you get to the vendor, you always ask the question, does the vendor intend to sell within that time? Because if they are intending to sell, I would rather them sell to you as opposed to sell to someone else. And then remember, with an option, it's only an option, it's not an obligation, but we go through options in great detail. So, you know, it's always just an option, not an obligation. So if the property doesn't work out well for you, or if it's not right for you, then that's completely up to you, but you've given yourself that option. So how does someone start? Okay, so I've gone through that with you. Okay, what other options? I've gone through that. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so let's keep moving on. If you've got any questions, please ask. Now, remember, the Elite Property Tribe is a full 52-week program. It's 52 modules of online training, and it teaches you how to become a more rounded property investor. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm very much against a get-rich-quick scheme. We've not created this as a get-rich-quick scheme. We're teaching you all the tools as to how to become a successful property investor and also a successful deal sourcer, so that every time you look at a property, you're going to have the tools to say, yes, I like it, or yes, Yes, I like it. And off the back of that, I'm going to be able to structure it in a manner which works not only for me, but also the estate agent and also the vendor. So it's 52 modules online training. We've got fortnightly deal clinics, and these are live with me. Shadowing days with me in the office. You get daily 10-minute calls, 4 virtual meets throughout the year. We've got access to over 400 hours. So use it as pretty much like Netflix for property training. You've got over 400 hours of webinars on there. You get to JV and sell your deals to my database, and you get access to all my useful contacts and the EPT WhatsApp group. So D says, how many times a year does the EPT take these students? We only do it in January, and the next time will be in June. I think this year we're running in October as well. So there's definitely one in June. The October is still yet to be confirmed. So there's a long space between now and June. Okay, so let's keep moving on. So how to join the EPT? So you can join it in one payment of 5,000, or you can pay in 12 monthly installments. So we're going to do another Q&A session. Someone says, can we put the links in the chat, please? So yes, there we go. I'm going to do that for you live. So there we go. So chat in the chat box. Let me just quickly put it in so that it's equally spaced for you. Okay. So you've got the links there in your chat box. Feel free to have a quick flick through those. So people that are going to think, well, in actual fact, I can't find any deals. I'm going to say, don't panic, because whilst I'm by your side, I'll be providing you with live leads. So I'll tell you what I am going to do is, in actual fact, I was going to show you my WhatsApp, because last Friday I was actually in Manchester. Because I was working on the rent to SA that we've got there, because it's just about to go live. And I drove past the property and I found the details of the owner. I put it in the EPT WhatsApp group, and as a result, I got the EPT members to speak to the vendor directly, and it worked extremely well. They're now in the process of structuring a deal with that vendor. It simply requires you to make calls and get some key information, and my team will then package it and sell the deal onto my investors. And we're going to try and provide new leads almost like weekly, and they're going to be properties all over the UK. Okay, so let's have a quick look. So someone says, can you put the links back up? So I'm going to say, do something today that your future self will thank you for. And again, these are all guys in the EPT. I could speak to you about days on ends for about people that have been successful in the tribe. We've got Ashley Walker, who's been really successful in the EPT. He's actually built himself a portfolio of properties within the EPT without actually putting in any of his own money. We've got Bav, who's done rent-to-rent deals. We've got Lenka, who's done multiple deals throughout the year. We've got Ale, who has actually built himself a decent sized 17 property portfolio of rent-to-rent and not sold a single one of them, and has kept every single one of them. Amanda has completed on multiple deals. Adam has completed on over 50 property deals. Adam's been one of the most successful property students of the Elite Property Tribe, who has completed over 50 properties of deals that he's packaged. And as part of being in the EPT, part of being one of my mentees, you can actually use the leverage of the Property Investor app to negotiate deals with vendors and agents, and you become the go-to person in the area. So someone says there's the links. So there you go. Feel free to go through those. Okay, so Ken says, on selling deals sourcing from you data list, a trainer is expected to pay a percentage of the fee. So every fee that comes back to us via the platform is sold via a 50-50 basis. Does that make sense, Ken? So you bring the deal into us, we sell it onto the platform, and we sell it on a 50-50 split fee basis. Hopefully that helps. Using your registrations, you split your commissions on completion at 50-50. Yes, it's still a 50-50 basis, Andrew. So does that make sense? Okay, I think I've pretty much been through all the questions because I've answered them. So okay, so Temel, so right, so Zach from London, right, Temel, okay, Temel, I believe you've actually emailed me. You're the guy that works with the Pakistan cricket team. So believe it or not, Temel, you've got a group of investors there. So you've got the Pakistan cricket team. These are sports athletes or elite athletes that may have pots of funds that may be that may be able to actually purchase the deals directly from you. Does that make sense? Okay, so Temple says, is the fee paid once the deal is finalized? Yes. So it is paid upon exchange of contracts. So exchange of contracts, so we try and push it to exchange of contracts quickly as possible. And Temel says, yeah, the cricketers, he goes, that's true, and that's what I want to capitalize on. So if you've got this group of international cricketers, these international superstars, if you find a good deal and you say to them, and because they trusted you with, in essence, their health and their life for the last God knows how many years, you've got a built of database, you've got a bank of database of investors there, right there. Okay, so John says, can a non-EPT member sell a deal on your property platform? Yes, you can. I don't mind saying that, but we won't appraise any of your deals. We'll just look at it and we'll either say a yes or no. If it's a no, we'll reject it. If it's a yes, then yes, we will put it on the platform. And again, that works on a 50-50 split fee basis. So we do actually offer additional support. So if you can't make the EPT, if you can't join the Elite Property Tribe, I've actually got a 1-hour coaching program, which is a 1-hour coaching session. The cost of it is £250 for the coaching session. Or if you want to join just the 5-day property challenge, you can join by clicking the links there, which is bit.ly/deal masterclass. I think off memory, the cost of it is £1,500 for the 5 days. So for those, are you ever able to release the 5-day challenge dates when joining the EPT for future early, as depending on work schedules, may not be able to take short notice and leave? I'm a clinician. So D, we do generally release the dates quite early, and we don't know yet. We always try and get through the first 5-day challenge, and then we go from there. Does that make sense? Believe it or not, the 5-day challenge is all recorded as well, so that anything that we do pretty much is all recorded and then sent back up to the platform, so you have access to the recordings for that as well. So I think that kind of covers all the questions that we've had so far. As always, guys, if anyone's got any questions, they're more than welcome to get in contact with me, and I'll send you the details in a sec. But the one thing I want to say is that if you don't build your own dream, someone's going to hire you to build theirs. Be the one that's hiring, not the one that has been hired. So if you've got any questions, feel free to email me, arsh@arshilahi.com. You can call my office, 01902 773940. You'll probably get through to my assistant, Fran, initially, but she's happy to I've asked her to put anyone that's interested in the EPT to put straight through to me. Or if you want to write to me, I'm not sure many people still write to me, but you can write to me at Berry Street. So on that note, guys, is there any questions? Feel free to let me know. I'm just quickly making sure that I've gone through everything. Okay, so Ken says, when you've signed up, when does the 5-day challenge start? So the 5-day challenge starts, Ken, believe it or not, on the 6th of February, which is the Monday. Believe it or not, if you join up to the EPT, you've actually got access to the previous 5-day challenge that I ran in November. So I would actually say to you guys, and when you join up, there's actually a mini video showing you where all the videos are, so you can watch the 5-day challenge straight away. So you can actually give yourself a massive head start, Ken. So definitely worth doing that. Definitely start watching some of the videos. You get access to all the content straight away. And then the official program starts on Monday, the 6th of Feb. Hope that helps. So brilliant. So D says, how much? Oh, sorry. So how much is a 1-hour coach call? So the cost of the 1-hour coach call is £250 for the hour. So there we have it, guys. Hopefully that's helped you. Hopefully that's gave you a bit of info. Any questions, please feel free to email me, and then let's go from there. On that note, I wish you all to be safe, well, and happy. And I look forward to speaking to you all very soon. Take care. Thank you, and bye-bye.